Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
Okay, y'all, we have some huge breaking news. Luigi Mangione has now been officially charged in UHC CEO Brian Thompson's death. Now, to be honest, I'm sure that most of us are not surprised about this murder charge given the fact of everything that police found in his backpack when they arrested him in Altoona at that McDonald's. And for those of y'all who might not already know, when they arrested him, they found on him a 3D printed firearm and 3D printed suppressor, four fraudulent IDs, including one from New Jersey, which allegedly is the one that he used to check into the hostel, as well as $10,000 in U.S. cash, passport, and $2,000 in foreign currency. Now, I want to get into my opinion for just a moment, and I definitely want to hear yours as well. But to me, it seems a little convenient that when they arrive at McDonald's, all of this stuff he has on him. Like, he's had 6 days to get out of the country, and he's walking around Altoona, Pennsylvania, where he went to school, and just carrying all of this stuff with him. I'm not saying that it's a setup or that he's a patsy at all, but it's almost like, if that's the case, was he wanting to get caught to prove a point? And I have no idea. This whole thing's bizarre. Hopefully we'll be finding out more in the next few hours and few days. Make sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss any of these crucial updates. Spread the word out and drop your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, I know. I posted that episode on Monday, and then, like an hour after it went live, they caught the guy. Well, they caught this Mangione guy anyway. A lot of people online are speculating that this guy is a plant because he's wearing the exact same thing that he was wearing in the photos that were shown on the day of the event. However, there were pictures cycling that were different. He was in a different color sweater with a different color backpack. Plus, they found a backpack that they thought was his in Central Park. I'm just waiting to see how it goes.
The suspect involved in the United Healthcare CEO case may have had spine surgery.
And while I was recording this video, this news article was released, which did confirm that his friend stated he had surgery.
Looking at his Twitter, he has this x-ray in place, which shows screws into his L5 and S1 vertebrae. That's the one he posted, and this is what it's supposed to look like. Now, we need better x-rays to evaluate the true placement of these screws because this is not the most ideal placement of this hardware into this patient's spine. Now, the x-ray that he posted may have been taken at an oblique angle, but ideally what you want to see is that the two screws per level line up perfectly, so it looks like there's only one screw in each vertebrae. The reason why he may have had spine surgery could be related due to spinal instability. This instability could lead to spondylolisthesis, which means that one vertebrae could be pushed forward on top of the other vertebrae. As spine surgeons, in order to fix this, we would have to put two screws at the level above, two screws at the level below, and then reorient the vertebrae so that they line up on top of each other just like this. And the idea is that by putting in these screws and these metal rods in the back, you would stabilize the spine and prevent this pathological movement and ideally reduce pain. He also had a book list which included this book called Crooked: Outwitting the Back Pain Industry and Getting Back on the Road of Recovery. There was also this other book called Back Mechanic. Now, spine surgery is like any other surgery. If the indications are correct and the surgery is done properly, then the results are usually ideal. But not every patient responds the same to spine surgery.
So this last clip really hits home for me. And I'm going to tell you a bit of a story, so bear with me, and hopefully it'll give you a little bit of insight as to why this person, if it is the guy that did the thing, did that. I have that same hardware in my L5S1. Now, my stuff isn't all janky. Thank goodness. I've got plates and screws from spondylolisthesis. Now, the surgery itself wasn't that big of a deal. The time leading up to it is what I remember the most. For about 8 months, I could barely walk. When I could walk, I used a cane. Some days I didn't even get out of bed, and I don't think I slept an entire night, the entire time. The pain is so bad. During that 8 months, you go and see this doctor and that doctor and the other doctor and this doctor and get that referral and this, that, and the other thing. And it was a headache while dealing with all of this pain and still trying to have a regular life, which was bad. It was bad. And during that time, the doctors that you see a lot of times treated me particularly like I was seeking pain medication, which makes you feel shame. So not only do you feel shame, you're also a little crazy from not sleeping, but you're in constant pain prior to finally getting this authorization for surgery, which is ridiculous. And the pain after, I'm still in pain. This is almost 9 years ago, and I still have chronic pain. And I could only imagine being in a different state of mind, going through that particular stress. It could make a person a little crazy.
It's nearly 80%. And that's actually a problem. If doctors are unable to practice in their own environment, under their own autonomy, and they're working for corporations such as hospitals and other big organizations, what happens is the autonomy of a physician to practice and to make the right decisions for their patients are compromised to some degree, because now the bottom line, the financial bottom line, has to be taken into account. And as a private practice surgeon, I've been battling this for years and years. It makes it really hard for us when we have to battle the insurance carriers, who are the ones who dictate what we get paid, which literally is nonsense, and then dictate whether they even pay it after they authorize the procedure, because an authorization is not a guarantee of payment, and that disclaimer is on every authorization. And then at the end of the day, they may authorize and deny payment altogether. And do you know that they can also go into your bank account as a physician and claw back money they've already paid you? All of these things sound nonsensical, but they're reality. This is the reality that we face in medicine. So I think the public is starting to become aware of this. The denial rates are through the roof. The average denial rates range anywhere from 2% to 49%. And those denial rates are denial of care that are requested by surgeons and doctors who are taking care of these patients. And as you can imagine, denials lead to further pain and suffering. They can lead to deaths. I mean, these things should never happen. There should be no process where an administrator at the end of the phone dictates whether you get care when your doctor requests it. There should be no process where a nurse or even another doctor, particularly a doctor in a different specialty, who can't even practice the specialty that they're denying care for, has the authority to deny that care.
Well, that opens up a completely different perspective. I didn't know that doctors were being treated that way, and that makes a lot more sense as to why some of these processes take so long in going from, hey, I have a problem, to here's the solution. That's our medical system truly is just screwed.
Did you know that the sun just entered a solar maximum period that's supposed to peak in July 2025? Solar cycle 25 began in December 2019 and is set to peak in July 2025. Now, during the solar maximum period, there are more frequent sunspots, solar flares, and coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, which are large eruptions of charged particles and electromagnetic energy. Now, already in 2024, in May, October, and December, we've seen tons of impacts on Earth's technology and infrastructure that they haven't even told us about. So in May 2024, there was an 8.7 class flare that resulted in a series of coronal mass ejections that created intense geomagnetic storms that disrupted GPS systems, particularly those affecting high-tech agriculture equipment in the U.S. Midwest. This interference led to significant economic losses and loss of crops, with damages estimated at $500 million, you guys, and I've heard nothing about it. Then, in October 2024, a 9.0 class solar flare erupted. That's one of the most powerful flares recorded in recent years. This eruption triggered another massive CME striking Earth. That's why we saw those weird aurora displays all over the United States and the world, with pinks, greens, and reds being seen everywhere that auroras are never normally seen. Then, already in December, you guys, there have been a 2.3 class solar flare, which caused a major radio blackout over Madagascar, and a 3.2 class solar flare, which led to minor radio blackouts over the Pacific Ocean. Why aren't we hearing about these things on mainstream media? Now, solar flares and CMEs can have significant impacts on Earth. It can disrupt communications, including radio blackouts, aviation, emergency services, satellite functions that interfere with the internet, television, GPS. It can cause power grid failures, navigation issues, radiation exposure, and of course, large economic losses. Now, the government has provided guidance for preparedness. We're just not hearing anything about it. The NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center has issued the following recommendations that none of us know about. First, it says to stay informed. Second, it says to protect your electronics. It is telling us right now to use surge protectors and maintain backup systems for critical operations. It's also saying to shield electronic equipment from electromagnetic interference. It also says to plan for power outages, you guys. On their website right now at swpc.noaa.gov, it's telling us to stock up on essentials such as food, water, and batteries, and to ensure backup generators are ready for use. We need to spread the word, you guys, because this is not something that I'm hearing about on mainstream news channels, and not a lot of people know about. I encourage you to spread the word, you guys. Tell your families and friends about this, and of course, as always, the more you know, the more you can become. Good luck and good health.
My husband and I watched a video last night on how the poles of the sun had flipped. And supposedly this event had happened like 2 weeks ago, something like that. And that's why there were all those CMEs, because things were going haywire in the sun and they did the little flippy thing. But if that is factual, why don't we know about it? Is that what's going on? They're trying to keep us ignorant because ignorance is bliss and they don't want us to freak out that the sun's going to do something crazy. We all know that we're at the mercy of the sun. It can take us out in a second without us even knowing. But all of these unusual events happening this year, these northern lights, why didn't we know about these other little events that happened? All of the power outages and all of the crops that were destroyed. Why can't we know about that stuff? I guess, trying to save us from fear?
Oh my gosh, it's ramping up again. Are you guys ready? 3 M-class flares over the past 24 hours, 18 C-class flares. We've got it circled in red up here, those super active sunspot regions, and then we've got at least 4 large coronal holes bathing us in constant solar winds. That's a lot of what you guys have been calling me about. I woke up to all sorts of messages this morning. I've got several appointments this morning with people experiencing dissociation and all sorts of other emotional stuff from this. When these heavy charged particles bathe us for a long amount of time, it can have much more deeper effects, really, because these charged particles, these protons and electrons, literally pass right through your body, right through your DNA, and they affect your emotions and all sorts of other things. You can affect your sleep patterns. So if you guys are experiencing this, just understand it's okay. It's not just you. It's happening globally, okay? You guys are okay. Stay super hydrated with a little bit of sea salt in your water. Try some of those salt baths, right? With magnesium salts, sea salts, baking soda before bed. Some magnesium glycinate can really help relax your muscles, help you guys sleep. And reach out, seriously, so I can explain what's going on within your cellular structure, and I can help you guys breathe through this and move through it. So hold on. Like I said, it's going to be heavy for a little bit, but nothing you guys can't handle because you're freaking amazing, and I love you.
That is interesting. Now, I had never heard about how the sun, I mean, I know obviously the sun affects us because the sun is one of the reasons as to why we actually are, but how it affects us like that when it goes through its cycles, because the sun does go through cycles. And right now, I guess there's a lot of solar winds and it's affecting people negatively. So there's a few little remedies in there if you're feeling a little funny because the sun's being weird.
I'm going to tell you, your audience, something that not many farmers would ever admit. Okay, this happens on all farms. If you like eating avocados, for a farmer to grow avocados financially, especially biodynamically, where we're enhancing the ecosystem and helping nature, we have to grow at least 20 to 40 acres of avocado, and we have to be able to sell those directly to our market or to our consumer. So here I am farming 20 to 40 acres. That's going to require me to kill at least 35 to 40,000 gophers to protect those trees. Hummingbirds accidentally, when I spray a non-synthetically derived organic spray, accidentally killing bees, accidentally killing ladybugs, and intentionally killing ground squirrels. So there are 50 to 100,000 deaths that happen just to grow avocados. Yeah. And my point is that none of us are getting out of this without blood on our hands. It's just at what point and how connected were you to the process, but that doesn't excuse you from the reverence and the responsibility for life.
Yeah, I think there's a misplaced delusion that pervades a certain segment of the vegan community who have kind of tricked themselves into believing that because they're not eating animals that they've opted out completely from this cycle of life and harm. And I think that that's just not, the facts don't bear that out. And
now, as a carnivore, I'm not saying that being vegan is wrong. If you want to eat all plants, that's fine. You just should know what goes into growing those plants. And not only that, but the farmer is unable to yield as much as they would be able to if they were able to use traditional means. Yes, I understand. GMOs, that's something you're trying to stay away from. But at the same time, you're trying to avoid unnecessary bucket kicking of animals and whatnot. But a lot of that happens a lot more than in traditional farming.
When we drink too much water, like most people do, our kidneys are dumping water all the time, and our whole hormonal balance associated with the kidney elimination of water versus minerals versus acid is becoming imbalanced. When they learn about the water problem and how we have been brainwashed as a society in the last 15 years to drink 8 glasses of water per day, to the point that we believe it now, even though 20 years ago nobody even thought about it, and nobody carried water bottles everywhere with them. Today everybody in California is carrying those water bottles, feeling that you are in the know, but in reality you simply drink too much water and creating dilution of your electrolytes in your blood and damage to your adrenals that depend on those electrolytes. So you end up in greater stress as a result. It becomes a vicious cycle. Your kidneys have a different set point hormonally, and now you have no choice but to keep drinking more and more water. So you have to gradually get off that water addiction. Slowly lower your water intake to whatever your body tells you it needs when you're thirsty, and not to drink ever while you eat. And when you eat, you'll find out you're not so thirsty anymore, because your cells are not getting water from what you drink.
I totally remember when that 8 glasses of water thing came out. And it's just like the milk. Drink a mug of milk a meal every day, something like that, right? It was a push by the milk industry to get you to drink more milk, just as it is for the water industry. Because what do we got? Bottled water companies that need to make a profit. Oh, we need to tell people they need to drink more water, so let's pay off some scientists or doctors or whatever to support this. And every single day on the news, I don't watch the news daily anymore, but I used to. And every single day on the news, there's always something new coming out. Oh, drink coffee. Oh, don't drink coffee. Oh, drink wine. Don't drink wine. Having a glass of beer a day is okay. And it's all who's getting paid to tell you what. And yeah, listen to your body. When you're thirsty, drink. If you're not thirsty, don't. You don't need to carry around one of those big old water bottles with the meter on it that tells you how much water you need to drink today. You're going to be okay.
It's concerning. It's frustrating. You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are. You're telling me that a lot of these, Mr. Jones, you're telling me that 90%, 95% of these drones along the U.S.-Mexico border, we can't interact because they're not in U.S. territory?
That is correct. A large proportion of them stay in foreign airspace.
I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Americans that are very frustrated right now that are essentially questioning where are my taxpayer dollars going? You know, this Doge craze that's kind of starting to take hold. This is very real. I mean, this is going to come. People are going to have to come before the carpet, and they're going to have to explain every single line item. What do you do here? What does this get? And
you know what else is frustrating? When people can't say frustrating properly. Drives me up a wall. But these drones, they're out there. New York, New Jersey. I even saw some claims that they were over Pennsylvania. And like I said, my cousin said they were in Phoenix. And we're doing nothing about it. Why? They're here. Do something. We need some of those net guns where it shoots out the big old net and then it'll bring it down. Because these things, they're saying they're like as big as like a small car. They need to bring them down. Find out where they're coming from.
Is alkaline water a scam? Yes, no.
Scam, capital SCAM. Look, what is alkali? Where did this alkali thing come from? So our blood pH is 7.4. And above 7 is alkali, below 7 is acidic. Okay, so it is slightly alkali. And so some guy, and I interviewed him actually, just before he went to jail. Well, I'll discuss why in a second. Just before he went to jail, the guy who founded the alkali diet, okay, a guy called Robert Young, Dr. Robert Young, who said that, well, if we have an alkali blood, in order to keep ourselves healthy, yes, and our alkali blood is healthy blood, we need to eat alkali foods. This is his thesis. The problem is it completely ignores the presence of the stomach. Now, the stomach, as far as a compartment in our body goes, is the most acidic compartment in our body. It's pH 1.5. It's like battery acid. But then all the food we eat goes into our stomach, gets acidified, and then as it goes into our small intestine, it gets neutralized back to 7 again. This is just biology. So nothing we eat, everything we eat is acidified and neutralized. Nothing we eat will change the pH of our blood. That's the first thing. So if you drink the water, it becomes pH 1.5 and pH 7. By the time the water is absorbed into our body, it's pH 7, whatever its starting pH was.
I don't even know if that alkali water is still on the shelves. I haven't seen it, but I don't even look for it. So if it is there, don't waste your money on it. I'm going to go grab another cup of coffee. So while I'm doing that, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button for me and consider subscribing. And then come on back because I'm making a new episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
They don't teach the Declaration of Independence in school. You know why? Because it states in the Declaration of Independence when your government's acting like this or it's in a state of tyranny that you have to overthrow your government. Why do you think they separate us? Democrats, Republicans, blacks versus whites. They're scared when we unite and come together, we're going to overthrow them. Why do you think they want to disarm you? Why do you think they have all these things going on, school shootings and everything else? Yeah, I hear you, but honestly, I don't put anything past our government anymore. I believe a lot of this stuff is set up to scare the people, not to allow us to arm ourselves, not to allow us to unite, not to allow us to have a revolutionary war on our hands, because what they're doing to us is enslaving us from the beginning, and everybody's just waking up now. Well, it's time that we do something about it. Be careful, my people. Be careful.
I personally remember being taught the Constitution in school, and I don't remember my children ever learning about the Constitution, and that is a very valid point. They don't want the people to come together and overthrow the government because, we can, right? Aren't they doing it in France right now?
In America, we do not kill people in cold blood.
This is your reminder that Ellen Greenberg is a woman who was stabbed 20 times to death, and while Josh Shapiro was Attorney General, he handled the case, and they declared that case a suicide. So I wouldn't be talking too loud, Josh.
Well, that certainly is an interesting piece of information. There's a lot of speculation that this Luigi guy is just a patsy, especially with all the Pelosi information that we just discussed on Monday.
We need Medicare for all. The reality is the average American is paying more than $6,000 a year on health care costs. And those premiums are up 7% from last year. We're not going to get those premiums down. We're not going to get those health care costs down unless we have Medicare for all. When we have Medicare for all, we will have 2% administrative fees. Medicare will be able to negotiate with the hospitals, negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies to lower costs for all Americans and provide care. And guess what? If we have Medicare for all, every doctor and every hospital will be in network. No more of these denied claims that are bankrupting Americans and taking people's lives.
This works out pretty well in just about every other country. I don't know why the United States isn't following suit. Well, actually, I do. I do know why. It's money. Plain and simple, it's money.
Okay, here's me throwing out my conspiracy theory. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But with all this monopoly referencing going on, I just want to throw this out there that going to jail is part of the game. And there are 3 ways to get out of jail in Monopoly. One is pay a $50 fine. 2 is a get out of jail free card, which may or may not play a factor. But the 3rd way is to roll doubles. And my theory is, based on the video that was posted on Luigi's account that was immediately taken down, there was the countdown, and then at the bottom part of the screen, it just said soon, and then December 11th. I'm going to guess that something may or may not happen December 11th that is then going to cause Luigi or the culprit, whomever, to be revealed, to not be in custody, to be released out of custody, to not be in prison, December 12th. 12/12. Doubles. That's my theory. I'm just running with it.
Well, today's the 11th, and just like on Monday, right when I posted that video, something spectacular happened. So maybe something spectacular will happen today, which will make tomorrow 12/12, which is rolling doubles. That's an interesting theory. It's a little, grabbing a lot of stuff and trying to make it make sense, but I like it.
I think I've figured out why so many people believe conspiracy theories. Santa. It's got all the elements of a great conspiracy. It's got a cover-up of staggering proportions, corporate involvement, the government is involved, body doubles. There's tons of body doubles. I cannot overstate how massive the scope of this is. I mean, millions of people, the majority of adults in America are involved in this cover-up. Obviously, corporations are involved. They're the ones hiring the massive numbers of body doubles every year to lie about this. But also the government is involved. Like, NORAD posts a Santa tracker every Christmas Eve that shows on radar where he is at any given moment, which one of my takeaways from that is that government scientists can produce fake bogeys on their radar whenever they want. That's a weird power to brag about. You can see how somebody who learns about that would have a short jump to being like, oh, the moon's not real. Remember the moment where you sort of found out it was a conspiracy, right? That is an exciting, terrifying moment. The first kid who was like, oh, I think it's your parents, he was treated like he was wearing a tinfoil hat, right? Like, you're either brave or crazy, and we don't know which one it is. Because if you admit that Aiden's older brother is telling the truth, then you're also admitting that everyone you've ever trusted was telling you a lie, and that's why every one of them is a potential rogue in the head.
I've had this clip on standby since July, and I've been waiting for December to share it with you because, it's Christmas, and Santa is a really good, example of conspiracy theories, and it makes a lot of sense. On that note, I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please come on back in a couple of days. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day. Okay, I'm back and I've got my fresh cup of coffee, and you didn't even know I was gone because it went right into the next clip, because that is movie magic. I mean, it's not movies, but it was still pretty much magical. No, it's not. It's just editing.